Yes. So, hi everybody. Last presentation of the day. I understand people are tired and they want to go to the party. So I'm trying to do something light here for you. So, welcome to René's Tales of Cyber Horror. I mean, it's getting autumn right now, and the things are getting darker and more rainy. So I thought, whoa, this could be a little bit of fun. Unfortunately, it's also very real. Now, since it's the last presentation, I want to get people active a little bit. So let's start with a quiz. Anybody who knows who this is? Are you?
Hopefully I'm right. Is it Justin Sun?
No. You're close. Yeah, you heard me earlier, so you know what this is going to be about. I'm sure everybody here has had a bad day, and sometimes you have done something and then you're thinking like, perhaps shouldn't have done that. Whatever that happened to you this year, I'm pretty sure that this guy had a much worse event like that. This guy is and I'm going to butcher this, his name is Ben Chu. He's a Chinese national who moved to New Zealand, and 2018 he started a crypto exchange called Bybit. On the 29th of February, he did a routine transfer of funds from his Ether wallet. He checked the HTTP address of his trusted wallet provider, and then he signed the transaction. Now, as being the CEO of the company, he is the last one to actually move the assets. And a few milliseconds later, the transaction was published to the Ether blockchain, and that's how the Lazarus group from North Korea got hold of about $1.5 billion worth of Ether at the time. Today it's considerably more. Something to think about. Now, why is this relevant for us? Because about a month earlier, an enthusiastic open source developer got a message. Hey, can you please help me with this web page? And sure, being a developer, he tried to help other developers. And sitting there on his spoofy little Mac, he got a Docker container sent to him. Now, it was a trading web page, yeah, blah, 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 blah. But he didn't realize that there was a Trojan horse inside that Docker container. As you know, some Docker containers execute as root. And that led to a very sophisticated group of hackers first gaining access to his computer. And from there, they actually also gain access to the access tokens that his cloud service provider was giving him. And through there, they managed to get access to the server to deploy the wallet that you here later signed the script from. And that's $1.5 billion gone. Well, not gone, but it's transferred somewhere else. Now, I have to say something good about this gentleman. Once he did that thing, he actually did the right thing. He went on a live stream and said, okay, this has happened. We're trying to handle this. And they paid up. They didn't go bankrupt. They didn't hide. They didn't lie. Woohoo. But this could have been prevented if cybersecurity would have been kept at a higher pace at his supplier. And there are a few things you should understand in this situation. He was using a ledger that was costing about $100. That's one of those small devices for handling keys, right? He was paying exactly zero to the wallet provider. Could be something to think about because, well, now he's paying $1.5 billion, right? But it's perhaps not in the way which he was hoping. And this is usually when I come in. Some major disaster has happened. What the fuck happened here? How can we learn from this? So this is me, René Malmgren, cybersecurity researcher, forensics analyst, and yeah, blockchain enthusiast. I used to work for Ericsson a few years, and that's how I came in contact with Cubes, and that's also why why I'm thinking that this would be an interesting chat for you guys to think about. Because if you're talking about the small things about the menus, this is the big things out there in the world where people are getting hacked and where what you are providing is like so necessary. And also think about what you guys could do if you had 1% of those 1.5 billion that actually got lost. Did my story scare you? Yeah, at least one person here was scared. Oh. Exactly. Well, here's the bad news. That kind of attack, when I do an analysis on it, it's a mid-level attack. This is the scary part. This is what Ericsson's customers were subject to. This is called a tailored access operation. In this case, named Operation Socialist. I guess somebody will find it funny here. The target here in this case was a national carrier, in this case Belgacom. Obviously, we all know Belgium has terrorist problems, right? So I'm sure they were trying to survey people in Molenbeek. I'm sure they weren't interested in the mobile phones communications of other people in that city, say close to European Parliament. But the important thing, which you can see there, is exactly how this attack was executed. The first stage is a standard phishing attack, right? Well, in this case, it's not standard. You wouldn't even come close to surviving it because they basically intercepted the traffic as it was going from LinkedIn. But the second part is a scary one, because the second they breach the first wall, they immediately deploy a rootkit, and then they're admin at the computer. Bam, boom. And it's like less than 20 seconds. And that's the state of mind for most people out there. Rootkits in the advanced version of the world out there are standard procedure. So phishing attack followed by rootkit. So if you're running a Windows or you have your cool Apple computer, I understand nobody here has a cool Apple computer because QOSS doesn't run on Macs, right? But in a regular present room, there will be a large part of people who will be looking away now. You're basically dead. If you're writing any form of software for any form of society critical infrastructure, and they decide to target you, you have been compromised. And probably also your organization. So these are the lessons learned from our study at Ericsson. This is basically what doesn't work and what does work. Because when you're facing a advanced persistent threat, this is the kind of things that we have seen. Now, on the left side of the ledger, if your organization, if you're deploying any of that, understand that you're just wasting your time, and possibly even more dangerously putting yourself in a situation where you think you're doing something good. So any form of password-based authentication, completely useless. Independently how long you have it. They know how to bypass it. Any OS level administrative access control. So you know that admin window that your boss, because he doesn't give you admin passwords to change the background on your desktop, completely useless. They deployed rootkit immediately. Cloud-based authentication services. In the industry, it's very popular. Microsoft, whatever authenticator. Yeah, bam, gone, dead. I was thinking about you actually when you were talking about Cabros and the passwords there. Fine-grained access control. This is a funny one. A lot of people can get lost in the maze of, can I change the color of this font, or do we really want Carl here to have access to this particular file, right? The answer is you will lose track of your access management, and you will sort of, customer of ours, won't name any names, I think they had 46,000 rules in their firewall. They have all been manually entered in, okay? Nope. Any closed source stuff that you're deploying, our experience is that large parts of them have implemented backdoors. Anybody using Intel equipment, the management engine, and the AMD version is a clear example of this. Complex stuff. If you can't audit it, it's not safe. VDIs, this is very funny because a lot of the drive in the big industry is like, yeah, but if you just make them log in through a web browser into this cloud, then the information stays in the cloud. I'm sure they can't penetrate that, right? And then FreeBear. I will, if I get to it, I will comment on it. But there is a problem, as I sort of alluded to in the Benzu example with money flow here. If you are not ready to pay for the software that you're using, you are probably not the customer. Pain. Also very funny because there are a lot of sysadmins who think that if I just make my users rotate passwords once a month and not 3 times a month, right, then we're going to become more secure. We have very hard data that that's not the case. What will happen is that circumvention of your rules is going to increase in such a way that you will basically lose all the positive effects you had of your policies. And yeah, my favorite, access tokens. This has become the new scourge, or if you like, the new backdoor to your system, because what they do is they signed a what you call it, JVT, I think, Java Web Token, and then your browser is authenticated for a random amount of time, and God knows who will have access to that token. So that's the bad stuff. The good stuff is what does work. Hard information segregation. All of the militaries that are worth their salt, I mean the Russians, the Americans, the Iranians, they all do this. Public blockchains. We see that every day, right? Lots of value is being transferred over public blockchains. You don't see anybody attacking the blockchain. You can see them attacking the keys and getting access to the keys, but never the chain. Correctly configure cryptographics. Even the NSA can't break a correctly configured cipher, right? Hierarchical key stores. All the blockchain ones use them. So instead of having a random amount of keys, it's very good if you have them in a hierarchical key store, so you actually can manage the keys that you have. And now we're getting to the important part for you guys here. Type 1 hypervisor. I'm sorry to say this, but anything except the Type 1 hypervisor is, at least for the regulatory part, not okay. But QOSS is the only option out there. None of the other competitors out there can actually deliver what the requirements require. Defense in depth. So you don't have just one wall. You need to have a series of walls. This is a little bit like, what should I call it, a medieval castle. So you have the village. We know the orcs are going to burn the village, so we don't have anything valuable there. And then you're going to have like an outer wall, you're going to have an inner wall, you're going to have a keep. And hopefully they will not be able to penetrate all the way in before your threat hunters detect stuff. 2FA apparently works. Well, provides a little bit of hindrance, I should say, because if you would check both the SolarWinds and the Bybit example, both of the times the attacker tried to register a secondary device but failed. They decided to circumvent it by attacking the access tokens instead. Rust. Really, really cool programming language. It closes a lot of loopholes. I'm a little bit surprised you guys don't use it more. You should. It's good for you. And yeah, Guardian protocols. We did check, and these 4 were the ones that really shined. These are open source, well established, protocols, mind you, not implementations, protocols, that we have seen be able to deter and dilute access. Now, what do I mean with hard information segregation? Now, here most people probably get it immediately, right? But if you're talking to managers, then I do have a video. Let's see if this works. If you're talking to managers, this sort of gets their attention, right? This is what we want to accomplish. Quick market comparison. Perhaps not surprising that the US Department of Defense is at the top up there, right? For people working at Ericsson, it is very funny to see Nokia here, obviously. But anyway, there is this scale. More pain, more security, less pain, less security. I don't know if you see my mouse pointer. I'll try to do it so that people on the video can see as well. This is where you want to be. Okay? Because over there by the US Department of Defense, you will not have very happy engineers. And this is where I think you should take your project. Because this is the flip side of the coin, right? We had 25,000 developers, and we talked to hundreds of them. People must be able to work efficiently, must support reasonable performance, must support reasonable functionality, and that includes shared clip file transfer, screen sharing, must support up-to-date productivity software, and must support a broad ability for automated self-service. Those last two are sort of internal things, but I think you have most of this, right? It's not perfect, but at least it's working. So this is our target design. Imagine, as I said, this is a medieval fortress, right? So everything you see in blue is what we call the office zone. This is where all the marketing people and sales people live. When the attack comes, we expect it to fall. We don't even put any form of effort of defending it, right? And then you have an inner wall where you have the development zone. This is where development takes place. And then beyond there, you have the inner sanctuary, or the keep, if you like. This is where the Git repo is. This is where they are not supposed to be under any circumstances, right? And if I zoom in a little bit, here we have our protocols that we use to try to accomplish this. This is the requirements. We want to be able to withstand the 200. Anybody who likes James Bond would understand the joke about double zeros, right? But 00 in this case means 0 days, 0 exploit. 0 days, 0 clicks. That means this is an exploit that can be remotely activated that is not publicly known. So we would like us to be able to withstand 2 of those and still keep integrity inside the Git repo. If the keep would fall, we still want to have blockchain technology there so we can restore it afterwards. I won't say too much about how SolarWinds did when they found out that they had Russians in the build system. The answer is they don't know. They have no idea about the integrity of their code. And then you can think about what that means if you're a blue chip, US blue chip company, and you're buying their software, right? So a concept is called control information transfer. And all of the green stuff is stuff that every developer would like to see, right? And that includes like transferring information. The yellow stuff is stuff that can be a little bit more cumbersome. And the red one is, of course, what must not happen, not be allowed to happen. Somebody compromising the office environment must not be able to breach into the development environment and further on to fuck us up. This is how it looks when we're prototyping currently. So what you see here is sort of the layered stack. So, and this is also just a development container zoomed in. So if I go back here, you see that Bob has 4 containers running on his laptop. So this is zooming in on the yellow box. So you can see the layers, right? So you start with that you GPG sign all of the commits. You then use SSH that travels over an IPsec tunnel over to the other side where the SSH again, of course, authenticates, and then GPG verifies that the commits are signed. Now, the tricky part here, which is something that I'm like a little bit proud of, and I hope I get people who are interested in playing with this. We have a phone that we have sourced from scratch, where we're running the keys on, through something we call a key master, which means that even if, God forbid, somebody would break into the development container, it's still, when you're signing, you're going through GPG agent or SSH agent, and then it pops up on your phone. You say OK, and that goes over Bluetooth. And that phone, I mean, it is a phone, but we've disabled the modem. We just use the Bluetooth to be able to say OK, right? So an attacker, even if he would manage to do escalation on the Xen hypervisor, he would still have to penetrate the phone also on the other side. Yeah. Thank you. Anybody interested as a Telegram group? We're looking for guinea pigs. Questions?
I got one. So Bybit, right? It was supply chain hack, right?
Sorry, Bybit, yeah.
Yeah, Bybit. It was supply chain hack. I believe the JavaScript was edited, so it read the different HTML code.
Correct.
So the guy saw whatever he was supposed to see. So how many third parties does one company use? Like Amazon, Cloudflare, GitHub, all the stuff. How do you, like,
well,
$1 million question, how do you
literally.
Every third party
Yeah.
employee?
So let me answer that question a little bit more like narrow. If you're operating a bank, a nuclear power plant, a military contractor, then you need to answer that question very, very detailed, right? Yeah. And you need to make sure that any subcontractor that you are using in that critical chain also needs to answer that question in very high detail. Because otherwise you're going to be standing there with those 1.5 billion going out of the window. Now, in this case, this was ludicrously badly set up. Because you're absolutely right. There was a JavaScript that was sort of changed in the end. And you should say that the attackers, they reverse engineered the wallet and the software. Then they made a customized version that only targeted Bybit. So all of the other users from Safe were safe, or I should say purposely selected not to be targeted as not to sort of sound the alarm, because there was one target that was a lot fatter than the others. And then, yes, it was deployed by using this access token. But if you're operating 1.5 billion in assets, you should have a little bit better protection, right? Well, I mean, the next one probably will, but yeah. Yes.
Yeah, thanks for the talk.
Yeah.
I dearly miss a buzzword of the industry in your presentation, and that is zero trust.
Oh, yeah.
Because the industry claims zero trust will solve.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Fine. Do you want me to use it?
No, I just want to hear your opinion about it.
I mean, zero trust is a very important principle here. I'm just avoiding the buzzword. Because, okay, so let me point this. I mean, zero trust is like one of those kumbaya mantra things that you hear upper management talk about, right? Now, there is a very sound reason why I use zero trust. But upper management, I didn't feel that everybody understood it. They just used the buzzword. But there is a zero trust principle here that is very, very important. We do re-verify. There isn't just one intersection point. That's why you have the layered defense, right? Defense in depth is one of the antidotes, if you like, of zero trust. Another thing here is that, I mean, I could go on for an hour. I thought I had 25 minutes. I didn't want to destroy your entire evening. If you deploy this at the customer, we do threat hunting. And that's also an important part of zero trust. I think you might have sort of run into it because zero trust sort of conflicts with older systems. And then they tell you that your old system is bad and you can't use it anymore. I don't know if that's the case.
Now, I understood about zero trust as the industry, the IT security industry tries to sell it as a panacea for everything.
Yeah, of course, but that's what sales guys do.
You can dissolve the structure in the network because if you deploy zero trust the way one vendor tries to sell to you, then you don't have need for...
So and this is unfortunately what you're describing is so true here, right? Because what you have is that you have a principle called zero trust, and that comes from expensive experience, okay? And then that is formulated by people with a little bit too thick glasses who are very academic. And then it goes over to marketing, and that's when it turns into this buzzword that you need to buy X because zero trust, right? It doesn't mean that the sales guy understands what the cybersecurity guy who sort of came up with the concept meant. He just wants to sell yet another expensive system to you, right? But I would say zero trust is a very important principle. Because what does that mean? One of the things is you should re-verify. And if I go back here, you see I'm re-verifying here. Oh, sorry, I'm verifying here. I'm re-verifying here. I'm re-verifying here. So I do have 3 layers. I don't just trust SSH to do the job. I also expect GPG to do the same job and IPsec. So that is one of the concepts.
Okay,
Yeah. More questions? Oh.
So, about this picture on your phone, I'm not very familiar with mobile phones.
Yeah, I am.
But in security keys, the USB keys that you can buy, you
Yes.
can generate those PPD keys with the ability to attest them.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. Yeah. Keep going.
To prove that there is only one copy and that it's protected by hardware.
Ah, you mean TPMs? Yeah. Trusted platform modules. Yes.
Right, like secure elements.
Yeah. Exactly. Or secure elements. Yeah.
Do you have something like this in this phone?
Not in its current version. We are okay. So let me since you opened the topic, and this happens to be one of my pets here. We don't believe it's a good system that you just said, and that's from a pure usability perspective. People change devices. People drop devices in reverse. they run over them by the cars and they get stolen on the on town, right? So if you want to have a good system, you need to have a strategy for changing devices. Now, for most crypto people, what they do is they have something that's called the master seed. And that master seed is usually printed on a piece of paper, and it contains 12 or 24 words, depending on your level of paranoia. And you keep them safe. Sometimes they even like tear them to 3 pieces, and then they have like one in Berlin and one in Hong Kong, whatever, right? But you have the master seed. That is sort of your randomness. And then from that master seed, we generate a device seed. And that device seed, in turn, then goes into first become identities, then protocols, and then the keys for said protocols. And yes, ideally, the master element here, or I should say the key vault, you see, it's called hierarchical key vault. That is stored in a secure element. But the keys that you use are reproducible, and that's by design. Because if you drop your phone in the river, you really, 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 really want to get your keys back. It's very expensive if you don't.
Maybe we could talk later.
Yeah. I'm sure there are going to be lots of beer here.
You can implement a hierarchy in the GPG structure that allows you to drop your phone in the toilet or whatever.
Yeah.
You can rotate the key, generate a new one, and then...
Yeah, well, that depends on what you're protecting with said key.
Yeah.
If this is your Bitcoin address, then you will...
What I'm saying is that you can have just sub-keys in the...
Yeah, that's what that's exactly what...
The master key
yeah.
somewhere else.
Yeah,
That
exactly.
doesn't go in that toilet.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly the system we do. But I mean, please quiz me later. That's why I'm here, right? Because I want the questions. More questions? Yeah.
Yeah, my question is around root of trust. You mentioned about management engine and essentially peripheral processors compromise.
Yeah.
So that would be great if you will add a couple of sentences to this.
I can make you a
Yeah,
book.
2, 3, that's fine.
Yeah.
And you mentioned also Ledger. I had Twitter discussion with the Ledger people.
Yeah.
And asked them why I cannot get device which I can use with my own keys, and they said this is insecure. So, what's your opinion about root of trust and how
Okay. Okay, let's start with the first one. When you talk about root of trust, I'm saying this to everybody so that I understand what you mean. Usually that means that you have something on the hardware which boots first. That's sort of God or Adam, whatever you want to call it, and he then sort of forms the next chain in that point, right? Now, on any x86 system, that's independent on whether it's Intel or AMD. There's a lot of closed source dark magic where we strongly suspect that there are people who have separate access without going into details. Usually working for people who live west of us. And that's not good. But I'm a mere mortal and I'm a poor cyber security researcher. If I would be a richer cybersecurity researcher, I would build my own hardware. And I would throw out everything that's x86. It is sort of in my star map. And when I'm talking to VCs, this is something I'm sort of asking, but it's not exactly inexpensive to do that. So we live in the world we live. And as long as you run x86, you are not going to have what I would call root of trust on your device. And this is something you have to talk with your psychologist about, unfortunately. Because, yeah, that's the reality of the world. Now, your second question. Ledger, yes. I'm not here to sort of, well, I am actually. So let's let's get it out of where. I don't recommend Ledger as a solution for storing your keys. Mostly about what you just said. I'm a like Linux kind of guy. I want my computer to be my butler, not my nanny. Ledger is a nanny. It's not a butler. Trezor, completely different policy. Nice Czech firm. I know their owners. If I can sort of punt somebody, go and get yourself a Trezor. Open source hardware. They are doing really cool stuff. Looking forward to working with them. If you want something a little bit more solid, please use my. Let's see. Please use the link because there is a hardware wallet that is completely written in Rust that is right on its way out that we are really excited to work with. And there you're going to have something that is like nice looking. It is like phenomenally written code, completely open, very nice guys. I talked to them on several conferences. And I really think this is something you guys should be really excited to support. Because if you add what they're doing to what QOSS is doing, then we actually get a better security system even for the small people. If that answers your question.
Okay, thank you very much.
More questions? No? I guess people want to go and drink beer, and I've already sort of run over. So I'll.
Thank you.
Thank you.